Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy, and I will be our GM, like I normally am. But with me, I got a lot of cool people. So, Kate, tell us words.
Hi, I'm Kate Pizartik Johnson, and I play Nori.
I'm Dan Johnson, and I play Cass.
I'm Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
And with our little trio doing their adventures, the last thing that we really saw them do was host a spectral meetup, not in terms of ghosts, but in terms of in a small demi-plane between existence, where they could kind of sit semi-face-to-face with Dion and Julian for the first time, because, well, one, they needed to tell them some stuff, and two, Cass kind of wanted to have a "you good" vibe check. Things kind of went a little sideways, and Nori committed to officiating an unofficial wedding, with Cass threatening her life if she forgot to prepare the ceremony spell that day. And Frog somehow elected herself as leader of the planning committee for the bachelor party. So that's all to come in the future. But for right now, we are getting up the morning that we would arrive in Narrada, a small town out in the middle of nowhere that no one really knows about, cares about, or goes to. So players, I turn the scene to you as you wake up on the last day of your journey in.
I will look around and see if there are any animals around that I can just say good morning to and maybe offer some coffee to.
There are a lot of animals around. None of them will accept your coffee, but a couple foxes will run up to you and just let you play with them for a little bit.
Okay, perfect. Then I will pack up all of my stuff and get ready to head on the journey. Still keeping a watchful eye around us, just in case anyone is trying to creep up on us.
Okay.
Frog will get up and pack up her little campsite and kind of take a deep breath in, knowing today's the day she has to confront her siblings and about what has happened.
And I'm just going to be sort of bringing up the rear of the group. I'll just have my quarterstaff out, just sort of using that like a walking stick. And just keeping an eye on everybody. Probably a little bit closer an eye on Frog, just knowing that a lot of stuff going on there, just making sure she seems okay. I mean, open to talk if she wants to, but let her sort of make the first move. And while we're walking, if we slow down the pace, I'll probably just print out my cookbook that Frog gave me and start just sort of flipping through the pages, see if there's anything that's sort of catching my eye type thing.
Okay. Yeah. Would there be anything you think catches your eye, or Frog, would there be anything external, extra strange that the others would pick up on?
No, I don't think so.
Just the same mood you've kind of been in for 3 days?
Yeah, pretty much.
You find a recipe, Cass, you all walk, and you make your way to town. Julie, would you like to describe the town, or would you like me to?
You can.
Okay. So as you come up on this town, it's not small, rundown, built up in the way that Ansel was. This is not a town with history. This is not a town that the communities have come together to maintain the foundation of and keep going. This is more, there was an open plot of land and enough trees to build some houses. They're not really laid out in any good way. They're not really functional in terms of dynamic. It's just kind of a town that is there. You see about 20 homes, all of them appearing to be about the same age. You see a church in the background. You see a tavern, and then you see a basic food store where, Cass, if you wanted to go get anything to make a meal, you could. But where every other town you've been in has kind of had a central area or a hub or something that would define the town, this one's kind of just buildings in a place.
Nori will go up to Frog and ask, "Is it like you left yesterday? Have things changed? How are you feeling right now that we've entered into the first part of town?
Things are pretty much exactly the same as when I left. And it really just kind of feels the same. um, but obviously I'm a little bit nervous and upset coming back. And then Frog will just kind of like take the lead starting towards her home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what does your home look like as you walk up to it?
It's pretty small, for the 3 people living there. Kind of like just like the main living room and then like one bedroom pretty much. So it's like the siblings share the one, and then Pippin gets the main area. So it's nothing too fancy. When you walk up to it, you can see it's kind of run down. So Frog will not knock on, I guess knock on the door, just because they're not expecting her, and it would be kind of weird to just like barge in, and see if anyone is home.
Yeah, it's that kind of like time of the day where it's not yet like let's go out and do things part of the day. It's probably like a 8:30 or so. So when you knock, you hear, "Oh, yeah, give me a moment," and someone comes and opens the door. And what does Pippin look like as you open the door to see a family friend who has been taking care of your siblings for a while?
He looks a little bit disheveled, and not just because he was just waking up. He just kind of always looks like that. With like reddish brown hair. It's kind of long and messy. Frog will, I mean, he's still a halfling, but like he's big for a halfling. So Frog will go over and like give him a hug and kind of make her way into the house.
You walk in, and Pippin is like, "Oh, it's good to have you back, Frog. What brings you around? Normally your letters let us know you're coming, and I didn't know you were coming. I would have cleaned up a little bit if I know the kids are still asleep, so it shouldn't be too loud if you don't want to wake them up, or if you want to wake them up, you're welcome to, but."
Frog will say, we'll just let them sleep, and then she'll kind of fill him in on everything that's been going on, and why she's here kind of suddenly rather than letting them know. And she'll explain everything about how her mom has been kind of a ghost inside of her head, which is special. And then let him know that she communicated with her and she's like truly passed on now.
Okay. And Nori and Cass, is there anything you all are doing at this time? Did you follow Frog inside? Did you like give some space out? Where are you both as Frog is having this conversation?
I would probably just be hanging out on the outside. When we were walking into Narrada, did we, or would I have been able to perceive like what the general religious vibes of the area are? Or like maybe have had a conversation with Frog prior to coming into town to know if like my armor and the vestiges on it would have kind of had the same reaction we had in a couple towns before?
No, you would be fine here. We're not like, everyone's just kind of doing their best to survive and not thrive, and we're not really focused on anyone else.
Okay, so Nori would then just like, I would just hang outside of the house, keeping a watchful eye, but trying to be a little bit hidden wherever maybe I can, so that way I'm not just completely sticking out like a sore thumb. So being stealthy, but also stealthy-ish, but more concerned about just keeping a watchful eye and everything.
Okay. And Cass?
I'm just by the front door, unless like Frog specifically invited us in. I'd just be standing out front, just probably have Quizzle just up on the roof, just sort of scouting out the areas, what's around, getting familiar sort of with the new town, and then looking at Nori just like half squatting, like trying to blend in a town that really there's no reason to blend in.
After Frog tells Pepin like everything that's been going on and she sees that the house is like, okay for us to enter, she'll like kind of poke her head out and wave Cass and Nori in to come sit down, even though the house is rather small, especially for Cass. And she'll start like a pot of coffee.
Nice. Yeah. Before you're waved in, some things that you would notice are there's like that same 20 houses doesn't really seem to like have more than maybe 20, 30 people in town. So each house is a small family. Nori, as you're just kind of looking out, like the church here does have and like it's a church of peace, but it's very clear that it's not held up as one. It's kind of got the same vibe as Bosun's Bounty, where like, yeah, they're here, but also so's a lot of other stuff. So it's not really anything you'd be concerned about. And then, yeah, Cass, you'd get the general lay of the town. Like, it seems like if you were to look at it from like a bird's eye view, like you can with Quizzle, it kind of seems like they just kind of all found a spot and started building, and then after a while found the ones like where on the outside they could throw other buildings. It's like a church, tavern, and store are out on like the back part of town, but the rest of it's kind of like cabins laid out at like a summer camp more than an actual pre-planned town, is the lay of what you get. And then yeah, you're all able to walk into this small home, very much meant to be 1 or 2 people, with 3 people currently living here, a small kitchen. Yeah, I do think, Cass, you probably need to crouch. It's not like that thing where the building's not tall enough for you to be in it, but they didn't need to build the ceilings tall, so why would they? So you're kind of always scraping the roof unless you're actively crouching. Your knees might hate you tomorrow, who can say? But yeah, you all are able to go in to Pepin's home.
Since Nori would have spotted or smelled the coffee brewing, she would go up to Frog with like a little coffee cup and say, "Would now be an appropriate time for me to have just like a smidgen of coffee?"
Yes, Frog will look at her and pour her like half of a cup.
And Nori says, "Thank you." And she'll ask, while like starting to sip the coffee, "Is this your childhood home, or Pepin, is this your home and Frog's siblings are staying with you?"
So it's not necessarily my childhood home because that was destroyed, but it's technically Pepin's home that we live in, but we are kind of a family, so it's also kind of my home. But I only lived here for like 8 years, until I moved out and started adventuring and earning money to send home to take care of my siblings.
Yeah, after the fire, anyone that could get out, which is not many, but those of us that did kind of ran as far as we could until we found a spot where we could claim it as our own part 2, and we found here. And so it's not really anyone's family homes or ancestral homes or anything. It's the homes people built after everything went up.
Does it bother you, or either one of you, if I ask a couple more questions regarding the fire and like the town beforehand?
That was a long time ago. We're all used to it.
What did Narrada feel like, or what was the town like prior to the fire? Was it similar size, or was it bigger? Was it more...
This place didn't burn up. Mary's Rise burnt up, and then we all had to move here.
Oh, Nori
Yeah.
will say, "Sorry, my brain. History is just like a weird thing for me, but that makes sense."
Yeah, no.
So
No one
then-
was from here. We just made here.
Gotcha. Did other people from Mary's Rise displaced to other places, or is this the like primary location that everyone
I mean,
came to?
some probably found other places, but for the most part, the like 20 or so families that were able to get out before the walls went up kind of tried to stick together, shared grief and all that, and we've made it work. There are some people that have moved here since just because they needed somewhere to stay and it's relatively cheap because there's nothing to do. And I'm sure there are people out there that like went their own ways that we just don't know about or heard from and then haven't heard from in a while. But for the most part, this is kind of the Rise Part 2, but very lacking.
Sure. That makes sense. And Nora will just like continue to sip her coffee. And I'll say, I'm really sorry for what happened, even though it was still many years ago from what Frog has mentioned a little bit. It just sounds like it wasn't a great thing that happened. And it's really cool that you've been able to take care of her siblings.
Frog will just, after Nori says that, just kind of start laughing because Pippin has not experienced Nori trying to talk to humans before. And so she's just like looking at his face after she's like, it probably wasn't really a great thing that happened. And see what he does.
He's not outwardly reacting, but yeah, the face is definitely like, yeah, of course it wasn't a great thing. Like, if Frog has told you anything about it, what the fuck are you saying now? Is like the face, but like very much keeping that like halfling expression of, oh, it's all fine. But you just, especially Frog, like knowing what Pippin's like when things are off, like you just see very much behind the mask a deep look of what?
Yeah, and then
That's what
after
Go ahead, Julie.
after Frog finishes like laughing, she'll be like, she's trying her best. Communication is not her strong suit. And then just let him continue his thoughts from there.
And just following that, I'll just jump in and just like put my hand out, like I'll probably reach down, I would assume, to shake his hand and introduce myself. Just be like, "Hi, I'm Cass," and it's not really just conversation, just human interaction with her. Like, as Frog said, she's trying her best. Like, she really is.
Okay,
But
I just want to put it out there that I have had minimal human interaction. No offense to you all, you are all very lovely. The way that we talk and interact in the Feywild is just a little bit different, okay? Gosh!
No, like they
Or
said,
we'll
you're
just
trying your
continue
best, and that's just the best you can do.
Thank you. Sometimes I'm just a little quirky. I'm sorry.
At this point, I
Yeah.
assume that it's like 9 o'clock and reasonable time to wake the children up. So she will head into the bedroom, Frog will, and kind of shake them awake a little bit.
Yeah, that's not an issue. Yeah, they have like a double-sized bed that they share together. So which one would you, or would you kind of like try and get both of them, or are you going for Enya first, or are you going for Barrows first?
So it's like a double bed they
It's like
share.
yeah, like a double size, like just smaller than a queen, but like the two of them are in the one bed.
Assuming there's enough space in the middle, Frog will like get up and stand on the end of the bed and then jump and land in the middle, hoping to wake them up that way.
Yeah, make an acrobatics check just to see how well that goes.
Okay. That's not my strong suit, but okay.
It's fine.
8.
8. Okay, so which one do you land on?
Baros.
Yeah, so as you try and do like a very fun like crash land right between the two of them, you just lose your footing a little bit and fall onto your brother, not hurting him in any way, but just like instead of a gentle like wake up tap, he has the effect of a not gentle older sister falling on him early in the morning.
Good.
Ow! What the hell? Oh, that's you. Hey, and like we'll hit Enya. It's Frog's home.
Good. And then after they're both kind of at least semi-conscious, she'll like wrap her arms around both of them and just kind of start flailing around just to like shake them around and wake them up and be annoying.
When would be the last time you saw them? Like how many years ago?
I think at least like 3.
Yeah. So they're like, because they're what, 7 and 8 now, right?
Yeah, they're like,
so like the
grown
last
up
time you would have
a
seen
lot.
them, they were like small beans, and now
Mhm.
they're like actual like kids that have personalities and shape and form, and like
Mhm.
I think they still recognize you because it hasn't been that big of a change on you, but like you see the passing of time as you're not really been part of their lives, but only a voice writing letters and sending gifts and money. And you kind of see them look up
Indeed.
like excited to see you at the same time you have that kind of realization.
Yeah, after the initial hugs are done, Frog will sit up and grab her bag to take out the 2 little stuffed animals that she got in Salana, I think, at the market for them, and give them each their own.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wow. That's cool. Thanks for bringing these. Are you gonna be back now?
Frog knew this question was coming, and it takes a second to be upset about this in her head. And she'll say, I'm back for a little while, but I will have to go away again soon, but I promise it won't be as long. I'll be back sooner this time.
Okay, and like a little while, like a couple weeks, or how long we got? Because we found a really cool part of the woods, and we can show it to you, and it would be a really fun place, like build a treehouse, but we can't do it by ourselves, and Pepin's busy. So like if you're here for a couple weeks, we can build a treehouse together.
Frog will say, we won't be here for a couple weeks, more like maybe a week, but I did bring some pretty awesome friends with me, and an even bigger surprise. And I'm pretty sure that they would love to help us build a treehouse. And then Frog will...
Do we get to meet Dolly?
You don't get to meet Dolly. Maybe one day soon.
And yet we'll look over and be like, see, I told you she wasn't real.
Rude. Frog will flash a glare at her. And then she will grab her bag, which Archimedes was sleeping in because he wanted to sleep, and pull out Archimedes, assuming that he's still like groggy and will have no idea where the heck they are, and just set him on the bed.
Yeah. Yeah, like Archimedes is a big frog to you all. To an 8-year-old halfling, Archimedes is like half their size. Yeah, you just hear Archimedes wake up and be like, Miss Frog, it's too early. We had talks about sleeping in, and the sun is not even in the sky yet. And then looks up, oh, we're inside. Oh, hello. Are you my new friends? Frog told me I'd get new friends. Are you my new friends? And the siblings are like stunned in awe at the sight before them.
Frog will then just leave Archimedes in the bedroom and kind of make her way back out as they're exploring the idea of a talking frog.
Nice. What would have been going on in the living room while Frog was in the bedroom?
Nori would have just continued to drink her coffee, kind of just like looking in Cass and trying to nudge him a little bit to try and make conversation, since clearly Nori is lacking in this skill set again.
And I'm just talking with Pippin, just sort of seeing how things have been in town, just getting a general idea of how the town is functioning, seeing if they're facing similar taxation issues that other towns outside, just general issues like that. Whatever he's really comfortable talking about, since realistically we met 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, in terms of, like, the taxation issues, that's not really a problem for this town because they don't really, like, they're on the map, but they're not really part of any dominion. They're just kind of like their own little thing, and no one really fully recognizes them as a town because they don't. They're kind of more of a settlement. So, like, the taxation issue, not so much there. The bigger problem that they all have is just like they don't have the supplies to make this a home, and they don't have the influx of people to make this a home. But if they leave and go somewhere that they could do that, they're kind of giving up what they already have, and just a weird, like, crisis of personality of, like, do we accept that we'll never have anything again and give up what we've made just to be around people, or do we try and find a way to get people to come to us and probably lose the heart of what we have? They're kind of just at a weird eternal stalemate with themselves of what they really want because they had a home and then they lost it.
Sort of following the conversation,
Mhm.
I'll just ask if I can just sort of like look around, like what I would assume would be their very cozy kitchen area, just to see what they have, type thing. Since we're here, I'm assuming we should probably help with the food situation since we can't,
Yeah.
type thing. So just gonna take an inventory of like, hey, what they have and what they have currently, like cookware wise, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the kitchen is like a very well-stocked kitchen because halfling children eat a lot. So it's of all of the places, it's probably the cleanest of the house and the most arranged, and it's pretty stocked. But Frog, I think you would walk back in on that conversation about like what the town might hope to maybe become.
Upon hearing that, she'll walk in and be like, well, we've got a treehouse to build. And kind of ignore the the previous conversation, but also like keeping that in the back of her head, trying to figure out what we can do before we leave again. So she'll ask Cass and Nori if they're up for helping her build a treehouse.
Would I have had a treehouse? Know what a treehouse is?
I think we said that yours is very much plainer with like water and flower elements. I don't think we are even part of the forests of the south, so probably not.
Nori, with my little bit of coffee, will just like sit and be like a little bit shaking and trying to take some deep breaths and just look at Frog and what's a treehouse? But I mean, I'm totally down to build whatever it is as long as it's safe. And Nori's gonna do like one of those like thumbs up that goes across your body and you're like, yeah.
Frog will let you know it is completely safe. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say completely, but like it's safe. And say that they're like the best thing for a kid. So we better get on making one. Then she'll kind of go back to the kids and ask them where this perfect spot they found is, and assuming they'll get up and we'll go on a little adventure finding that spot.
Yeah, they're like walking with all of you, and like Archimedes is like trying to straddle both of their shoulders. Like Enya on the left, Barros on the right. Archimedes in the middle, like half of a thing on each of their shoulders, and is trying to like ride them like a human chariot. He's like, I have found new ways to be mobile. They're not as strong as you though, Miss Rock, so they can't hold me, but we can do our best, and we're doing our best. And the children are like, yeah, we're the best. And they take you to a clearing, not far out of town, but far enough that like it feels private. And they show you like a little spot where they think it's like a very large like oak tree, not really what's been in the area. You've seen like a lot of evergreens, so this tree seems a little out of place, but like this tree has got to be special for a reason, and so it's going to be our tree. We want to have our tree house here.
Do we notice anything about the tree and why it would be here, or anything suspicious? Or just like it's just here?
Investigation, Arcana, just do a thing about it. If you want to learn a thing,
Investigation.
do a thing. Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's not a d20. Oh, nat 1.
Okay, but still, what's your investigation modifier?
That's 10.
Oh, so it's still an 11.
Yeah.
You're not really sure. The best you can maybe parcel out is that, like, pre-war and also since, like, this area and things going further north have remained pretty tied to, like, the nature spirits and, like, the things that aren't considered deifics of the church can't come for you for, like, believing in them. Could be that at some point someone was like, oh, nature, help, and as a reward got a tree or did something and a tree appeared, but nothing is very clear, but that would be your best guess.
Okay. All right.
Sort of as we get like up to this clearing, and they're like, you can see like we can see Enya and Baros just sort of like pointing at the tree, like explaining type thing. I'm just gonna go up to Frog and be like, okay, what are we doing here?
We're building a tree house.
Okay, no, that's fine. That being said, I will take my bag off really quick, and I'll take a little pen, like quill, and some ink out, and just a blank piece of paper from my journal, and just set it on the ground in front of them, and be like, why don't you draw us what you're thinking you would like to see? And before I give it to them, I'll just like sketch out the rough outline of the tree, and like sort of just be like, it should be somewhere right about here. And then while they're doing that, I'll go back to Frog and sort of touch base with her on a few things. Also, as I'm giving them this, I'll like be crouching down by them, be like, by the way, I'm Cass. This is Nori, and like Nori's just up, like sort of just hovering around the trees at this point. And then just sort of let them start drawing out what they sort of had envisioned, knowing that it's going to be a kid's drawing, but it's something for them to be able to do. And then I'll go back to Frog really quick.
Yeah, when you introduce himself, they'll be like, I'm Baros, and I'm Enya, and we're gonna have the best tree house. And immediately you see, like, without detail or anything, the perception is wrong. The depth is wrong. The sizing is wrong, but they are very excited that they get to draw you what they believe could be a model of a treehouse as you return to Frog.
Yeah, just sort of, I'm just going to give like a very much an adult questioning look, like supportive, but like in my head being like, how in the hell are we going to build that? So I'll go back up to Frog and be like, so they're drawing it now, and we're going to need to discuss how we want to build this, because I'm going to look back at the drawing just from a distance and be like, it's very unique. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going to poof Quizzle back into existence and have him like skitter over by them, just something to sort of keep them entertained, and just sort of let Frog lead of, okay, how are we going to build this? Like, I'm in support. I'm following your lead.
Okay, so after seeing the kids start their drawing, Frog is gonna kind of make in her head, make an image of like what she thinks they could actually achieve, looking at what they want. And then, so can I cast minor illusion to like put it up in the
like
tree, like a sketch? Yeah.
So the image you see of what they want, now that it's kind of like wrapped up and they're playing with Quizzle, is like on that main central tree, they have drawn like a full, like spiked tiered multi-level like castle. Like a castle in a tree. And then there's also like plank bridges going to the other trees around it. So it's essentially like 5 trees, like 4 trees around are supporting like watch out towers, and then in the middle there's a whole castle. And like, we got all of the space, we can make the coolest thing.
Taking that information in, Frog is going to imagine the treehouse with a big like castle part in the middle that's actually supported, and then she will imagine two like sides of the castle coming out with like support from additional materials that gives each kid their own like small space that's like reasonably weight and everything so that it will not collapse. So definitely not what they drew, but with the same spirit. And then she'll cast minor illusion and put it up on the tree and ask what they think.
Now, they just look up in awe. Would this be the first time you would have used your magic in front of them?
Yes.
To this degree, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
They look in awe, they're like, Frog just built a tree. She made it happen with her mind. That's so cool. And they're going to then try and grab the rungs of the rope ladder and see that nothing of it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, but can you actually make it? We wanted to be inside of it, and now you're kind of being mean.
I'm not being mean. This was just the idea. Okay, so we still have to build it, but you have to tell me if you like it or not.
Yeah, it's good. We like it. Now build it. We can have a tree house.
Okay, it's gonna take a little bit more time to build than what I just did.
If Dan is trying to say something, you're on mute, but...
Also, I'm just laughing this whole time when they're just like, can you stop being mean and just build it already? Like, I'm just trying to muffle laughter in the background, just being like, that's about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you all set to work. Cass, you still have some of the tools that you bought, the ones that you didn't rent, so it's not that hard to find a couple trees in the area and get going on it. You also have just done a lot of this work, so it's known, and also it's a lot easier to use your magic in the middle of the woods with no one watching than it is in the town. So if you all wanted to do magic about it, you could quite easily. But after an hour or two, Pippin brings some little lunches out to here and hands them to the kids. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a nice amount of mosses over there that you could probably collect to make pillows inside. And Enya and Bar's like, yeah, and they run off. Archimedes following after them. And then he kind of gives the rest of you your sandwiches and stuff and looks to Frog and goes, so as nice as it is to have you back, you're not here to build a tree house. What's your plan?
I'm gonna give it a day, and then tomorrow I'm gonna talk to the kids. Later today, I'm planning to go down to the church to see if we can find a space for the funeral. But I want them to have a day before I tell them.
And that's perfectly respectable of you. But so then after you tell them, are you gonna be here, or are you gonna tell them their mom's dead and then leave again? No judgment. But they might be looking for a little bit more support than I can give if they just found out that their mom, who's been dead, is now actually dead, and that their sister's leaving after saying, oh, by the way, this happened.
Well, we'll be here at least for a little while afterwards, but I can't stay for an extended period of time. We'll be here for about a week, so I'll let them know tomorrow, and we'll be here for about 6 or 7 more days. Although they know that she's dead, we're just finally putting her to rest. So not that it's still a lot, but...
Yeah, and I think the thing that you might need to know for them, because you haven't really seen them grow up, is for them she was never not dead. So for you to reintroduce her to be dead again might confuse them a bit, and they might have a couple questions. Just so you're ready for that.
And as this conversation is unfolding, Cass is just going to sort of put his hand on Nori's head and just sort of slowly, because I'm assuming we're sort of walking and talking, and just sort of pull her back. Just give him a little bit of privacy with it.
Yeah, so Frog definitely had those things in mind, that she was never really around for them, like, that they could remember. She has had that in her thoughts, but she has the ring that her mom gave her, so what she was planning on doing with that was getting 2 more, like, replicas almost, just to, like, give to them when we, like, have the official funeral, and let them know, like, who their mom was as a person, kind of, and just to give them that, like, comfort of knowing that, like, she really did love them and how she was, and to give them a little bit more context, now that they're a bit
Are you
older.
telling Pippin this is your plan?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I'm going to address it, just so that they have something of hers, kind of, that to bring comfort and to connect the 3 of us.
And that's mighty fine. I think that'll be real sweet for him. Just keeping it in mind that if you're doing it for them versus if you're doing it for you, you're going to get a couple different reactions, and I don't want to see your little heart break again when they're not as moved as you feel they should be.
It's okay if they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Nori and Cass. Nori and Frog. No, I got it right the first time. Nori and Cass. As Cass pulls you from this conversation so Nori can't Nori it up, what are you both doing? Do you, like, take a working lunch? Are you off by yourselves, having a different moment? What's going on in your part of the world?
Having noticed that Cass pulled me away, I would look at Cass and say, so, would now be an inappropriate time for me to bring out Barbara so she can help us either entertain the children or build the castle / treehouse thing?
Yes. I'm just gonna sit there and ponder it for a second and be like, that's that's actually a really good idea. I have a few thoughts though, and then I'll agree, like, we should bring Barbara out, and then while they're sort of discussing this, I'm gonna point, how much of the treehouse do we have done at this point in time?
None. Like, you have planks felled and cut, but none of the actual construction.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm going to agree. Like, yeah, probably would be good, but also it'd be good to have her to help build the actual treehouse to a certain extent. Like, not actually build it, but, like, help just lift stuff up. But also, I'm going to point towards all the mosses and, like, pretty, like, foliage and fauna and flora that are in the area that we sort of talked about already. And just sort of gonna whisper to Nori, like, hey, I think maybe for, like, the roof, and to really make this look nice, we take some of that moss, fauna, flora, and we cover the roof with it, so it sort of grows and it has protection, because just sort of from Cass's experience, he would know that just a plain wood roof is going to leak quite a bit, so it's like we're going to try to build it up a little bit so this really does stay nice, and just sort of go from there. And there's...
I'll look at Cass once he's done finishing his sentence and put my hand on his arm and just tap it and say, wow, Cass, that's really thoughtful of you. And I will whip my hand out and say, Barbara! And rub the ring that I have, and my water elemental will hop out of the ring, and I'll say, Barbara, can you please help Dan? And then I will go off and try and... No?
No.
Oh,
Dan!
I will ask Barbara when she pops out of my ring, can you please help Cass? And then I will go and try and forge some of the foliage so that way it will be good as a roof.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think, Frog, you would see Pippin's reaction is, because you're not far from the others. You're, like, at a respectable pace, but you're not far. Just an immediate look of fear as to him, a monster has spawned in the woods. he has no context for what a barber is. He has no context for how a water elemental is living and thriving in the woods in this moment. So you can follow his eye line for that look of fear if you choose to. But he looks terrified. But the kids run back up with Archimedes, moss in their hands, unfazed by this, and goes, "Oh, that's a big puddle."
The frog will look at Pippin and, like, touch his shoulder and be like, "That's just Barbara." And give no further explanation. Like, it's okay, it's just Barbara.
Okay. Yeah, if you named the beast, that means you probably can control it a bit. I guess we should probably get to work in here then with Bar. And who is that frog? You kind of brought a frog into the house and then let it run off with the children.
Oh, that's Archimedes. He's fine. He's a good guy.
That wasn't the question. What is it? Did you make a little automaton? Is that just an actual frog that can talk?
Yeah. He's my friend.
You have changed a lot. And that's all he's gonna say. And then construction with like everyone fed, everyone there working together with summons helping out. If anyone wants to do magic about it, they can. But then especially Nora, you come back with just like a lot of like really good like foraged things that will put roots into anything and build a support network more than just loose wood. It will take the entire day, but yeah, you build an semblance of Frog's minor image. Probably not as great as it looked, but to the kids, it looks just as good.
Assuming that it's, finished enough that we can, it's like finish, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to like stain it or something tomorrow, but
yeah. Okay. Frog will suggest to the kids that we have a camp out in the treehouse tonight, and see what their response is.
Yeah, we can sleep in it, and you can sleep in the big house, and I can sleep in my house, and I can sleep in my house, and everyone else can sleep at the actual house, but we can be siblings tonight.
Good. Yeah, and then Frog will tell them, well, we better go get all of our blankets and things for tonight.
Well, we got all the moss to make pillows, so we don't need pillows. We can just get blankets.
Perfect. And then they'll head towards the house.
Mm-hmm. Are the other two doing anything? Other than, okay, cool.
And while they're doing this, Cass is just going to be... I'll use my elemental gift, flight, and just my legs will disappear. I'll get like a little like tornado underneath me, like however you want to imagine it. And I'll float up to the bottom. So like while Frog is doing this, I'm not telling her I'm doing this. I'm going to use the extra wood. And I'm going to make 2 little drawstrings like that go up to the top, like where the little balcony of the actual treehouse is itself. Mm-hmm. And there's just going to be 2 little like pull strings that they can pull. And in one of them, I'm going to put all of my my 1 bag of 20 caltrops, and the other one I'm going to put 1 bag of 20 ball bearings. And just sort of like have it as like little things that they can use. And on a serious note, like if they do run in here and they're getting followed, just sort of to protect themselves to a certain extent. Yeah. And also while they're doing this, like if we did not build a railing, I'll just start building a railing since we are now 50 feet probably in the air in this tree.
Yeah. Yeah, railing is important. And yeah, the castle now has safety and security measures. Very nice. And you all can go back to the house. But yeah, you're back at the house. But I think, Frog, when you're going back, are you planning to get arrangements made tonight or tomorrow morning?
Today. Well, what time is it? Like 5?
It would be like sunset when it went down. Okay. So like, even if you all brought the pillows and stuff, you need to eat for the night. Like Pippin and maybe Cass can help with the dinner if you wanted to go make some arrangements for things.
Yeah, that would be ideal. That's what my original goal was. So probably I would leave the kids with everyone else and have Cass use his delightful cookbook to make dinner maybe.
Yeah. let's get a cooking check, Cass.
Yeah, so from my reading of the book when I was walking, I found a shepherd's pie recipe just in there that it's like just from what most people have in general shops, towns like this. I figured it would make sense. So,
Mhm.
what would the check be you looking for?
From now on, that survival is our cooking check.
Okay,
Mhm.
so 13. Oh wait,
Huge,
hold up.
Mhm.
Yeah, 13.
huge gains. Like from a -1 to a 3 to a 13. Like this is unrecognizable. This is like that cookbook actually telling you what to do and not just you like attempting stuff. Huge. Yeah, and you make a shepherd's pie that no one's gonna comment on. Like people might comment that it's good, but no one's gonna have any derogatory or hidden messages of kindness towards your shepherd's pie. And Frog, we'd go back your way then, knowing that Cass did well and is leaving the siblings with a good meal. I think you'd feel a lot more comfortable setting out to get done what you need to get done.
Yeah, so Frog will head to the church in town, hoping to find somebody there who can help her make arrangements for her mother. I guess, probably for not tomorrow, but the following day.
Also, as you're walking there, you'll see Quizzle just along the rooftops for the little bit of your journey. And as soon as he gets to like his perimeter, he'll just sort of stay up on the roof and sort of watch you as you go, just making sure everything's fine.
Yay, Quizzle. And hopes to find a spot next to where her father is buried to put her mom to rest finally.
Yeah. If you get to the church, like, there's not really an ongoing service. It's not the kind of town that has any sort of like dedicated worship things. But there is still a technically assigned representative of the Church of Peace. They seem to like still be about it because like helping this town find whatever closure they need is part of their like MO of I'm choosing to serve the world my way. But does not seem to be very cared. Like she doesn't seem to care very much. However, anyone is doing anything around here, and you can walk up, and it's a priestess named Sister Heather. So if you wanted to go talk to her, you can.
Yeah, Frog will head into the building and go up to Sister Heather, who she does not actually know, and introduce herself as Frogena, not Frog, and like reach out for a handshake and tell her that she's here looking to make arrangements for her mother.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Fragena. It's nice to meet you. Of course, we can get that arrangement done. Is it a recent passing? Is it a memorial service? What are we hoping for?
It's not necessarily a recent death, but we are just finally laying her to rest. So we don't have a body, but we would like to perform the service and have a headstone next to where my father is.
Okay. Yeah. So essentially all of it, but without breaking any ground, sort of, is what you want.
Correct. Yes.
That's simple enough. And what do you need the headstone to say?
Marigold Battlebrook.
Okay.
Is her name. And then we'd like it to say we'll take a moment because this is like a really big decision on what she wants it to say. And she's hoping to convey her mom's strength and how she fought back against Cassiopeia. I don't know.
You need to come back with it, you can. I'll just
Yeah.
see the slab. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, and when are you hoping for this to be done?
We're hoping to have the service not tomorrow, but the following day.
Okay. Do you have a preferred time of day?
In the morning.
Okay. Well, the schedule's wide open, so I can get you in there quite easily. Just by tomorrow, I'll need you to bring me what you want that to say. Um, we have the slabs ready, and it's just a quick little stone shape to get the etchings in, but I'd like to be able to prepare everything I need for the next day, and so I need that by tomorrow. But take your time thinking of what you want that message to be, and I will see you again, and I am sorry for your loss, no matter how strange and distant it may be. It's still something you're clearly dealing with, so blessings upon
Thank you.
that.
Yeah, Frog will thank her and head back to the house.
Okay. And back to the house. Things are nice. They're as they are. Cass made a good meal. People are sitting around. I imagine that the kids are probably in the room with Archimedes again. So if the adults are talking, it could be whatever conversation they want. Or it could be that awkward thing of Frog left 2 strangers here with a different stranger. Good job, Frog. So what are the vibes in the house as we return there?
I'm just getting like a fire started. It's starting to get more dusk time, so just trying to get a fire to warm up the house and just making casual conversation with with Pippin. Just again seeing how things have been since Frog's been gone, and how if there's anything he needs to sort of help support the kids, that kind of stuff. Not looking to meddle, but just more offer of genuine support than anything.
Yeah, it's not hard to keep the kids going. Jenna does a good job of sending stuff back, so even though she's not here, it's kind of like she's paying for the kids in a way. But no, it's kind of, I think the thing that they just need to not understand, but the things the kids will need to learn is that the world out there might be better, but there's a really strong chance it'll be bad again, and they're kind of shaded from that, both by the area we're being raised in, and also kind of Frog's request. She lets them know all the stories of everything, but often with a really gentle tone to it. So I think at some point the kids are going to have to see what's out there, but until then, we're just going to keep it as it is and let it all.
Sorry, but just I guess curious. It's like I know things aren't. The world isn't a forgiving place, unfortunately. I think we all know this, and I'll sort of be conscious of the volume of my voice, just making sure it's quiet enough to where he can hear, but like the kids down the hall can't hear. And like we know, like the world's not great. Like we're working to make it better, like even if it is small things, but like I guess what is your interpretation of like this area? Do you want to stay here, or what would you like to do? Like, not that this town isn't great. I think it's very lovely. I hope it grows, but if you can have a better life elsewhere, would you want to move? I mean, obviously, it's Frog's decision too, because it's her family as well. But I want to make sure you guys have as much of stuff as you need, and I'll be making rounds once we're sort of wrapped up and just sort of looks to the side for a minute, our adventures. Like I live in Ansel, and it's like I'm gonna be putting my time in there to help that grow, and I have connections there where if you guys ever would like to relocate, we can definitely help. So like don't feel like you're stuck. Like I said, Mary's rise obviously was a tragedy. Don't want to forget about it, but you have options.
It's not so much us feeling stuck, it's that we want a safe spot where the kids can be the next ones. We are old. We're not gonna find peace before we die. And that's accepted by all of the elders here. And I'm not old. Like this would be probably a 60, 70-year-old halfling man. Like not old, because halflings live to be about 100, but like older. We're not we're not going to find our peace, but if we can get the kids to find it, that's kind of why no one has set so hard here, is we don't want it to feel like they have to stay if they can go elsewhere to find a better place. But then it's also, if they want to make this that better place, that's also their choice. They just have not yet been, they're not old enough to know it's their choice. But maybe we can send them over a couple times to Ansel and see what it's like and let them kind of make some friends in town, have some connections, do something there. That could be a good help, but for a while it's just going to kind of be that they're going to grow up and then they're going to make their choices and we're going to lead them the best we can before we're gone, because that's all we have the energy to do. And I appreciate your talks of change, but we're tired. We're not going to be putting in the change.
Would Nori have had the ability to partake in this conversation, or like just be like sitting close by? Nori will attempt to chime in, having my own personal experience being sheltered or only residing within the Feywild for many a year. Very eloquently, I have not learned how to interact with humans, and I didn't have many opinions, though opinions try to be told to me via my parents and other people within the Fey due to the war. So one of my goals in venturing out on my own was to kind of make my own opinions, and there was definitely value in that. And so there's definitely nothing wrong initially with being a little bit more sheltered from the world, but there's also still a lot of value in kids or young Fae learning on their own and kind of making their own opinions. And well, yes, I'm a little bit quirky, but I would say that I haven't turned out too bad. And plus, I've met Frog and Cass, and they're pretty cool people too. Frog, the coolest. Cass, jury's still kind of out on him. But yeah, so that's just my 2 cents. And I hope that made more sense. And Nori's just gonna like sit there a little bit awkwardly, kind of not knowing how to end the conversation, because she doesn't know if this actually went over well, and she's sweating in her boots a little bit.
Yeah, I think he doesn't give you any immediate energy of that was a bad conversation. It's just kind of, he's like, yeah, but that, it's, like I said, I'm fully aware they need to see the rest, and sending some of the kids over to Ansel's not the worst of ideas, but a lot of the older ones are only 10, 11, so even if we tried to teach them a couple things or have opinions put on them, they're not quite at the age it's going to fully stick. And so if we can get them over there, if we can get them, even we're not that far from the capital, even if we could take a couple days to walk over to Salana, we could do that too. But it's just going to be a lot of, whenever one of them feels like it's their time, they'll probably make themselves a leader here. But for a while, we don't know where it's going to go.
Well, the kids here seem to be real great, so I bet it will all work out just. And Nori will give the same like thumbs up and like swinging motion that she did either earlier in the day or day.
Yeah.
And at this point, Cass will have a pipe sort of like lit, just like imagining that he's sitting next to Pippin, just around the fire area, sort of like pat the ground, like next to him, like for Nori to come like sit down, trying to encourage her, like, you did a good job. Like that was a very normal human interaction. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Nori being able to pick up on some subtle human cues, she will then sit down and I'll take out my notebook, just start jotting some notes, being like, this interaction was good. Maybe this is what I did well. Ask Cass about it later? ?
And sort of seeing Pippin have a question look, I'll just look up and be like, she does that. This is normal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Frog should be back soon. if those kids are going to be sleeping in the treehouse, I suppose I'll take the bed and one of you can have the floor and one of you can have the couch, or there is like an inn tavern situation. It's also not really it's accommodating if y'all need somewhere to stay, but you can have the floor. I don't know if it's going to help a lot.
I can make a little hut for us, so don't worry about it. We'll be okay.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Why don't you make a hut? Just a little weird, like just two. I'm gonna sleep in my thing.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to take my generosity?
No.
Okay, nope.
No.
And Nori's gonna walk away, and I will go into a corner or some space around the treehouse, and I will cast Limoon's tiny hut, and then go in there and just hang out by myself for the rest of the night.
Nice. And as Cass goes into the lantern, you go into your hut. Pippin goes to the bed in his house for the first time in a long while. Frog, what is it like as you and your siblings build your little beds in your treehouse to round out the day?
I think very wholesome. She'll go to each room and like help get them like tucked in and get all their, blankets huddled around them. And kind of just like tell each of them like a little bedtime story. And make up like an adventure story for them. Not too far based off of what she's been doing, but enough that they can't tell that it's what she's been up to. Maybe the Shadow Cat story.
Okay.
And then she'll also have Archimedes with her. He's gonna be in his own little...
You're in the other room. Archimedes will go to the other room. Like if you're with Enya, he'll be with Baros and vice versa. And when you're telling your story, he's giving his soliloquy on the benefits of water from the play. As it's
Love
the
it.
only speech he's ever given that was well received, he's just in the room like, and clean water is helpful because then you can find flies, and when the flies are there, you can eat things. And when you eat the spicy water, it hurts your insides. So do not drink spicy water; it is bad for you. And is giving the same speech he gave while you're giving a little recap of your stories.
Good. Love that. Yeah, once she's said goodnight to both the kids, she'll head back into the middle, to her room, I guess, and take out her stationery that she usually writes letters to the kids with, and start jotting down ideas for the headstone. Usually scratching most of them out and then trying again because she just can't find the right words.
Yeah. And with that, I think we will wrap up this episode. So, thank you everyone for playing. Thank you audience for listening. We are Help Action Needed. You can find us all across the internet at that handle, as well as emailing us at helpactionneeded@gmail.com. We love to hear when you reach out to us. Yeah, I don't think we have any bonus announcements for this episode. So, thank you so much for playing. Thank you audience for listening. And as always, goodbye.